Hi, it's Nick from the Run Testers, and this is our review of the Mizuno Wave Rebellion. So the Wave Rebellion is a kind of plated, fast training shoe. It's not really built to be like a top-tier racing shoe to go up against things like the Vaporfly. But Mizuno restricts its kind of top-tier shoes to certain markets at the moment, so we haven't been able to get hold of those to test. But it should still be, a pretty fast, snappy shoe, and it comes in with a big price tag of £180 or $180. So you do expect a pretty high level of performance for your money. It's got an 8mm drop from heel to toe, and the heel stack height is 36.5mm and then 28.5 at the forefoot. It's a reasonably heavy shoe. It's 266 grams in my UK size 9 or 9.4 ounces, which again kind of points to it being more of a kind of fast trainer than an all-out thoroughbred racing shoe. It's got a one-piece mesh upper with a gusted tongue. It's not particularly thin, and you can see there's quite a lot of padding around the kind of collar and heel of the shoe there, which again points to the fact this is more of a training shoe. It hasn't got a really stripped back aggressive upper like you might expect on a racing shoe. In the midsole, you've got Mizuno's Energy Lite foam. This is a Pebax foam. It feels really firm, and it's got kind of the same kind of feel and look to it as Saucony's Power Run PB Pebax foam, rather than something very soft and springy like Nike's Zoom X. You've got a full-length glass fibre plate in the midsole, as you can see a little bit of it there, and it kind of forks in the forefoot. And it adds obviously a nice snap to the shoe, and it's a little bit more flexible than some carbon shoes, but yeah, it's still quite a stiff, snappy shoe. Outside, you've got this kind of ribbed material, which is really firm, and has stayed really firm throughout my testing. There's a lot of it on there. They've obviously kind of ribbed it to reduce weight, but you probably could have lost a little bit of that rubber to reduce weight a bit more. And it's a big kind of cutout there again to kind of save some weight. But overall, that's quite a good thick outsole that should grip well and really stand up to a lot of miles, I'd say. So at first, I felt that the shoe was a really good fit, true to size. But actually, during my kind of first run and kind of subsequent runs, I think I have ended up thinking I probably could have gone half size down in the shoe. Like, I've got a lot of room up in the toe box, and as you can see, I've really had to cinch the laces tight to get a good lockdown around the midfoot. Neither of those have really been a problem at all, but I did have some heel slippage on the run kind of as soon as I started kind of running fast in it down the track. I ended up heel locking it, and that problem kind of completely went away. Haven't had any real rubbing at all since then, and it is quite a padded heel, but yeah, overall I think it ended up being slightly too roomy for me. Like, I'm generally a small 9, but yeah, in this I could almost certainly have gone down to an 8.5, I reckon, especially as I have quite a narrow foot. So I've done around 60k in the Mizuno Wave Rebellion, and that's mostly been fast running. I'll say that. Like, I've done a few track sessions and then a few progression runs, kind of some that are easy to steady to see how it feels a little bit at easy paces, and some that have been kind of quite fast runs, starting reasonably fast and finishing fast. And I've done maybe one kind of general easy run in it to see how it handles kind of daily training as well. I'd say the kind of two things that have really stuck out to me are that this is really impressively fast shoe, and a much faster shoe than it kind of feels like even when you're running in it. I found that I've consistently been able to hit higher paces than I was expecting and hold them very well in this shoe. And the second thing is that it's a pretty firm shoe. I'll say it's probably too firm for my taste. I think that's really enhanced by this outsole, which I thought would start to break in a bit. I've only done 60k. Maybe it would start to wear in a bit over time, but yeah, it's a really good outsole in some respects, and it grips well. It's going to last a long time, but it does add an even firmer feel to the shoe, and it's got a slightly slappy feel to it, I think partly because of that outsole. The first run I did in it, we've got a first run video up on the channel where I went down the track and I did 2 sets of 10 times 400 meters, alternating 80 and 75 seconds. I did the first set in the Mizuno and then the second set in the Salomon Phantasm CF. And there was a couple of things that were really noticeable when I did switch to the Salomon, which is a much kind of softer, kind of more comfortable shoe, and it's got a very aggressive rocker that kind of makes for a much smoother ride and a much quieter ride. I will say the Mizuno felt snappier on the foot and quicker, and hitting those kind of 400 meter paces felt almost easier in the shoe, even though the Salomon did feel more comfortable. At that point, I kind of hoped that it would break in a little bit and I'd lose some of that firmness while retaining the kind of snappy pace, but it hasn't really been the case. Like, it's still very, very snappy and fast, but yeah, it's definitely still a firmer shoe. I did find, like, basically when I did longer runs in the shoe, so I did kind of 10 miles steady in it, I did a kind of a couple of progression runs, one around an hour and one kind of 45 minutes, moving from easy pace down to kind of 330s per K, and I just felt by the end of those runs I was getting a lot of foot fatigue, and it was kind of starting to wear on me how firm that shoe is, especially on my forefoot. So I'm a heel striker, and basically what I found with one of my left foot in particular, I get a real snap from this plate, and actually that snap down through that transition makes for a very fast and exciting, snappy ride, but just start to kind of wear on my forefoot after a while. So it might not be something that is so apparent if you are landing more kind of midfoot, forefoot. But yeah, as a heel striker, I definitely felt that. And like I say, once I was getting past 10 miles or kind of 45, 50 minutes, it just started to wear on my forefoot a bit. And I wouldn't want to use this for kind of longer sessions regularly as a result. I think if there was maybe just a slight soft foam or just more cushion up top, you can see how aggressive the drop is, you know, right to the front there. And there are kind of shoes out there, like I've used this also in a track session where I've you know, switched between it and the Adidas Takumi Sen 8, which is obviously, you know, a minimal kind of racing shoe, but it has a lot more kind of cush, especially under the forefoot, and I have no kind of problems with that shoe at all in terms of foot fatigue or kind of forefoot pain, whereas I just do with this. So on that session I was only doing like kind of 4 1k reps, kind of 3 10k pace, kind of 4 in each shoe. And yeah, the Mizuno, again, really fast, really great, cruised through those reps, but yeah, just started to feel like it's wearing me down. So it's a shoe I would kind of hold back for kind of shorter races, sessions, rather than using it for kind of half marathon or marathon events or kind of regular daily training. That's the thing. I think my hope with this, it was going to be a really nice, versatile daily trainer that you could use for kind of easy stuff and then also for your fast stuff, and it would cover off a lot of the bases. But it's just, yeah, the ride's just slightly too harsh for my taste to use it kind of several times a week. It would be a shoe I kind of almost would restrict to sessions, and then at that point you're looking at the weight, the price, the other options out there. I just think it's, yeah, it wouldn't be anywhere near my kind of top pick, just because, like I say, the ride's just a bit too aggressive for me. So I've enjoyed testing out the Wave Rebellion overall. I'm pleased I got it into test. I think it's an interesting shoe. It's a very snappy shoe. It really has impressed me with how fast it is, kind of at a range of kind of race paces and tempo paces. It's always got the kind of chops to knock out fast runs, even though it is a kind of heavier shoe in this bracket. But it has got those kind of 2 problems for me. The first is, yeah, the ride is just a bit harsh for my taste. Like I like a snappy shoe sometimes, something like the Adidas 6, I think had a really good snap to it with the kind of transition it has, but it's kind of almost too snappy and aggressive. And especially with that outsole being so firm, I think I would restrict it for shorter runs. That might not be a problem for every runner though. Like I say, it could be something to do with the way I run and my gait. What is going to be a problem for every runner though is the price, which we kind of didn't talk about in the run test, but yeah, it's £180, and that's just priced really high for what this shoe is. Like it's, like I say, it's not really something I consider a true plated racing shoe, and it's, you know, it's more expensive than some of those, the same price as the Adidas Adios 2. And then if you're looking in kind of general trainers, do you want to spend £180 on this when there are, you know, such fantastic options for a lot less, like the Saucony Endorphin Speed 2 for £155. Even if you prefer a more aggressive, snappy ride like this, the Adidas Adios 6 is like £110, often in sales, and while it's maybe not quite as quick as this shoe, I'd say, and the foam's not quite as impressive because it has a fairly big chunk of Adidas's Lite Strike EVA at the heel. It's, you know, it's a great shoe, and if you're just using it for training anyway, it does the job, I'd say, you know, just as well as this really. So yeah, if you know, 180, you're not far off, you know, the plus 200 bracket of carbon shoes and things like, you know, the Vaporfly, the Asics Metaspeed Sky, and then you are more expensive, like I say, the Puma Deviate Nitro Elite, the Adidas Takumi Sen 8, the Adidas Adios Pro 2, and then the Saucony Endorphin Speed 2. These are all kind of lighter, more comfortable, faster, better shoes in my opinion. So that price really does hamstring the Wave Rebellion for me. Like, people did comment on the first run vid saying they were able to get it in sales like for half the price. Then it's quite an interesting shoe to test out, I think, if you do like a firmer ride, but you're kind of getting the benefits of a super shoe here in terms of pace and efficiency, but with a much firmer feel, and that might be to a lot of people's taste, especially if you do lean more towards the short stuff. But at its full price, it's basically an impossible shoe to recommend in my opinion, given the other options that are out there. That's it guys, that's our kind of review of the Mizuno Wave Rebellion. Let us know what you think. Have you tested out the shoe? Is it something you're interested to try out? If you can find it in a sale perhaps. Please like, subscribe, ring the little bell, and yeah, we'll see you next time.